Well, we'll be introducing our guests in a bit. I'm going to be Sweetie Abochi's guest for now. Sweetie.
Hi, Ben. Welcome aboard the AM show.
I caught a whiff, since we have a bit more time to do this. I caught a whiff of your conversation on the hair this morning.
Thank you.
So let's do the analysis.
So
what type of hair is this?
It's a bone straight bob hair. And McAfee, one of our cameramen here, is really good at telling what hair I'm wearing. So this morning we're just sort of quizzing each other on what hair it is and all that. And I appreciate men who understand, you know, women and the things that make us beautiful.
I knew to bring out some elements.
Yeah, you can't see him, but McAfee is giving you the bow, you know. I need to encourage men like that so that your wives and girlfriends will be happy. Imagine going home and saying that, hey, baby, I bought you some bone straights 23 inches from so and so. From Hairs a la Mode, MFA Deti's hair business.
23 inches?
Yeah, 26, 23, you know.
I see.
When you know the specifics, it gives them some... It means that you're being intentional.
I mean, of course, it means you're paying attention. Yes. You're trying to.
Yes, so kudos, McAfee. But there's a story here that I think you'll be interested in. It's a combination of your profession and your religion, or should I say your religious orientation. So Pope calls for journalists to be released from prison. Please, just for information, when our guests join us, we'll introduce them. But we're just going to tell you the stories in the papers and discuss in the time being. So Pope calls for journalists to be released from prison. Pope Leo XIV has called for the release of imprisoned journalists in his first address to members of the media at the Vatican. And press freedom must be defended, he said. The media must ensure that precious gift of free speech is protected. And the Committee to Protect Journalists said 361 journalists were jailed in 2024. And the Pope is calling for them to be released because they were just reporting on the truth and doing their job. Ben, what would you be your reflection on this story?
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time a Holy Father has waded into this. Pope Francis himself had cause to do this a number of times. And we know from everywhere from South Sudan to Uganda to different places, there have been these incursions into journalism, the fourth estate, so to speak. So it's quite a call, and there are so many countries. I mean, you could mention so many of them, Russia in there as well. You know, there are laws that were enacted post the commencement of the Russia-Ukraine war, which forbade certain kinds of interactions. And in fact, for the general citizenry, so that if you spoke about certain things, it was deemed, I've forgotten the exact wording, but it was deemed unpatriotic, against the national interest and all of that. Some say that was not exactly, it was clamping down on, you know, the freedom of speech and all of that. So there are many of these instances across the world, and that's a good call. I
mean, even here in Ghana, we have, should I say, we've had our own issues when it comes to press freedom. I don't know for sure how free it is right now. I will have to check on the Press Freedom Index to tell, but I think...
Do you need the index to tell you how free it is? No, just a short index.
Area now. I think journalists they're bolder, they're more forward. They don't have to hide behind names, fake names, and
what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that
this year, beginning this year, I have noticed that people are speaking up without fear of being, should I say, arrested, or without fear of being unjustly jailed. You can't tell me that you don't know what we are talking about here, Benjamin Akago. Don't pretend you don't know.
What I'll say is that, I mean, I've seen the likes of Oliver Barker-Vormawor, you know, make juxtapositions between when his demonstration was held and some of what happened, and now his ability and all of that. But I think sometimes too, it just takes until somebody chops slap, you know, for you to start changing the narrative. We hope it doesn't get there. What I will say is that throughout this Fourth Republic, we've attempted on many occasions to make the freedom of speech the bar as high as possible. Yeah. There have been instances where radio stations, television stations, armed people, you know, prophets and the like have stormed these places. There have been instances where national security picks up somebody and you don't even know why. But I think by and large, we've not fared too badly in this Fourth Republic, especially...
This Fourth Republic or this year? Benjamin, bloggers were being picked up.
Here's what I mean.
Like internet bloggers were being picked up for tweets and things that didn't sit well with some people who at the point we thought were in government, you know? So I don't know about the Fourth Republic.
So there are instances, sometimes we fuse everything together. For example, I don't know whether it was I think it was very early this year after this administration took over. You remember Okatechie was picked up, but his people sort of mix, it's like an amalgam. We put everything in there. Had nothing to do with the administration. Had to do with some case, in his own words, of alleged sextortion. And someone, you know, pointing to him as such. There was someone else who was picked up who had made a claim about, you remember the ECG containers?
Yes.
That there was some intricate information, and he was picked up to assist. In fact, the journalist group, there was a group that reached out and said that nothing had been done to him. He had just been called in to assist. There are those, but there are also instances in the past where some things have happened that shouldn't have happened. When I say in this Fourth Republic, look, we've come a long way.
Well, a long way.
We can criticize the former president and even the Kufors and the rest for some things that happened. But if you remember the criminal libel law, and what it took to, you know, set those aside. We've made gains.
Right.
From time to time, we go and come, but I think someday we'll get there.
By and large, we are getting...
We are not that bad.
Okay,
we are not that bad.
But I mean, it's a good call from the Pope. For his first speech, advocating for press freedom, I think it's a very great way to start. And kudos to him. And perhaps let's all rally behind him to make sure that his advocacy materializes. Don't gag people for speaking the truth. If anything, ask questions, ask for clarity. Don't cast aspersions on people if you don't know the full facts of what they're talking about. And hopefully, at the end of this year, we can come back and say 2020, I don't know why I keep going back to 2025.
You're on your own in that boat.
For journalists and for the press as a whole.
But before you go on, you know, something people have found interesting. You know, the Pope, he has a math degree. He has taught physics and the rest. I just wanted to, I've heard conversations in certain areas where people are surprised. Actually, all of these men in red hats, as we call them, the cardinals and a lot of bishops, and they are very learned. People seem not to. I mean, these are people who, seminary alone is like 7-8 years. If you're a Jesuit and the rest, maybe 10 plus 12 and the rest. What do you think they are doing there? Just Latin?
Yeah. I think you need to be studious to be in a position like that, because a lot of reading, a lot of analysis, a lot of interpreting things. But I think it's a good time to also usher in our guest in a really beautiful suit. Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you.
Benjamin?
Well, here we are. Let me just get this started. So, you're a member of Parliament, and at least if we're starting off the conversation, we should look at your constituency as well. Brekum West, right?
Brekum West, sure.
How is Brekum West this morning?
We're doing very well.
You are?
You know, Brekum West was in the hands of MPP for over 24 years, since 2000. And this is the first...
It's been a long battle.
Yeah, we're getting hold of the constituency.
And we here, by we here, you mean NDC?
NDC, 24 years. You know, that was the original seat of the legendary late Ohusua Champon. First majority leader. And since 2000, we've lost the seat until 2024. So we're doing pretty well. And Brekum West is a strategic constituency noted for agriculture. And I have said over and over that with the right resources, with the right financial injections, Brekum West will be able to produce over 200,000 metric tons of tomato a year. It's noted to be one of the top 5 tomato producing districts in Ghana. And we're hoping to increase that. So with the irrigation systems, right financial resources, we have the land, we have the manpower. All that we need is the financial injection. And we need investors to come over and we will help solve the tomato importation.
I like how you've taken advantage of these minutes to sell your constituency.
Government is spending about $400 million a year importing tomatoes from Burkina Faso. True. When we can give about 200 metric tons, that will save us over $200 million a year. So that is the place we need to look at.
Well,
just a quick follow-up on
Dixon Tredia. He's the legislator for Brekum West. I just realized that we didn't announce your name. Pardon us. Right.
I was just thinking, though, since you talk about this before Sweetie comes in, how then do you think we should approach one village, one dam, one district, one factory, in light of what you're saying?
I think that's a significant step we need to take. If you look at Burkina Faso,
right.
Comparatively, the rainy season here is longer than Burkina Faso, yet they're able to do all year-round season because of...
They have a more arid climate.
Because of also partly to strategic irrigation structures that has been put in place.
Right.
So a place like Brekum West, we expect that government will consciously undertake massive irrigation system to ensure all year-round season tomato production. Right. And that will help solve the major crisis we're facing in terms of tomato importation. At the moment, if you go to market, 3 balls will cost you 20 cedis. Small balls.
3 balls?
Yeah, 20 cedis at this lean season. And
I'm buying 1 for 5 cedis now.
5 cedis. So that means you're getting 4 for 20 cedis.
Yeah.
And that's quite expensive. Yeah. But in the rainy season, you see sometimes 1 full bucket, 20 cedis. We're not processing and all these things. So we need to take a good look at these issues.
All right. Let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. But I must say that I like how you lit up talking about your constituency and what you intend to do to turn the fortunes of not just the constituency, but the country around. I like that. Keep it up. So the Daily Graphic now, on the front page, First Lady's Mother's Day touch. Cedi's appreciation against dollar. Price reduction will take time. Professor Gachi and AGI call for sustainability. There's also the story of Sami Jemfi appearing before presidency over Agrada dollar gift. And Haptel at 20 utilized digital innovation to create employment. And there are some stories in here. Let's start from the main story, which is the First Lady's Mother's Day touch. It's actually on the back page of the Daily Graphic. The First Lady and founder of the Lodina Foundation, Lodina Mahama, has commended nurses for the vital role they play in providing care and support to expectant mothers, new mothers, and babies. And she made this commendation when she visited the maternity block of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra to celebrate this year's Mother's Day event on Sunday. So that's that on that story. I want to go to the story on page 13 about Sami Jemfi and Agrada, former chief priest, now turned pastor or prophetess. I'm unsure which exact designation or adjective to describe this woman with, but she is a popular person. So the presidency has engaged the acting chief executive officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Samuel Jemfi, for questioning following a viral video showing him handing out dollar notes on social media to the church entrepreneur. Okay, I like how they put it. Church entrepreneur, Patricia Esiedua, popularly known as Mama Pat or Agrada. Now, what I find interesting is how party members or some government officials are coming out and saying that this is a young man who has helped the party, forgive him, it was a mistake. But before we even get the discussion going, let's listen to Nana Agrada because she's been responding to this controversy now. Well, we'll bring you that response of Agrada in a bit. I mean, I watched bits of it and she was saying, don't get angry over $800 because it's nothing. But listen to her yourself. $800.
always tap into somebody's blessings.
Oh, yes.
We say, Mama party impo. And then she on a bus immediately. Our Chinese guy. And then rather, Mamma should be sharing a midi. Yes. Now on Chinese guy. By what Casa Etia. Now we share penny. Now we Chinese guy. And you know me. And Casentia.
Now, you guys know that my tree is not all that good, but I understood everything she said in there. And it's a good time, before we get your reflections, it's a good time to introduce Awal Mohammed. He's from the NPP's Communication Directorate, and he also joins us in the studio. Gentlemen, Agrada says, don't be envious of this, harmless gift or kind gesture from Sami Jenfi. Mama Pati Mpo. And I'm asking myself, Impono, what is that supposed to mean? But let me throw the ball to you, gentlemen. Well, since you're just joining us, take the first bite.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and good morning to my co-panelists and the cherished viewers. I think I listened to her very carefully, and she even intends to curse whoever takes anything from anyone, because when she said, no me a better witch, that means she's even cursing.
As in, like, if you criticize her and then you go and take
exactly.
some...
Yes. So you see, normally, giving someone money as a politician, it's almost a normal thing, which myself and the MP had done it, whether in public or in private. But you see, the problem has to do with the person he gave the money to, the currency in which he gave the money out. And again, what happened in the past?
Break it down. What do you have against the person the money was given to?
So you see, Agrada, just as the Daily Graphic reported, has a history of being a fetish priest. Just within a month, she said, I have found Christ. Then she set up a church. In the church, I remember you even reported on some of the members of the church saying she had duped them. She said she was sharing money in the church. Some people went and deposited their monies, expecting for her to give them their monies back. Yeah. She didn't give out. And she was even subject to some arrests and so on. So all these had happened. And again, looking at her persona, I think that is the reason a lot of people are angry at. Because if Sami Jenfi had ordinarily give anyone money, it wouldn't have been an issue.
Okay, so that's for one. Then the currency.
The currency. Because today, we're talking about the dollar. I think we'll come to that as a discussion, right? We're talking about the dollar, the Cedi gaining some appreciation. Now, when you check all the social media communicators of the NDC, on the social media, they say that send your money to the bank or else you lose it big time. Don't go and buy dollar and so on. Speculations drive these things. Yeah. So when you find a government official who is in charge of gold board having currency in his car, that is problematic. Having a dollar in his car, that's problematic when you're pushing people to send it to the bank. Because we don't spend dollars in this country. Okay,
the nature of his work doesn't make it entirely strange for him to have some dollars or foreign currencies in his car.
You see, he went to a private program, a funeral, on a weekend. So we expect him to go and spend cedis there and not dollars. We don't expect him to spend dollars in the country. You
don't expect him to spend dollars in the country?
Yes, because we're not supposed to.
We're not supposed to. Everyone.
We're not supposed to.
We do spend dollars in the country.
We're not supposed to spend dollars within the country.
People are paying school fees in dollars. People are renting houses in
dollar equivalent. We also condemn it. We condemn it. They do it dollar equivalent, usually. So we condemn it. We say that is one of the reasons why we see the depreciation of the city. Because the more people demand for the dollars, it's demand and supply kind of a thing. The more they demand for the dollars, the more the city depreciates. And that's the reason he holding that money is problematic. Again, the events of the past. You remember when Dr. Kinsley Yanko went to a polling station, gave out some money,
an envelope,
to the people there. It became an issue to the extent that they held press conference in this country.
Well, that was during election,
yes,
right?
to call for his arrest. You understand? He came out to say, well, The gentleman said they had not eaten. He gave them something. If it was a bribe, he wouldn't have handed it over in an envelope.
There are particular rules that he broke there.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's why I'm saying that. The way they overstretched that one. And again, Cecilia Dapa had $1 million in her house. At that time, some of us defended her, but criticized her for holding that money in the house, especially around 2022 when we started with 5 cedis, 90 pesos in January, ended up 16 cedis in December. So within that space of time, as a public officer, as a minister, you have $1 million which you are supposed to send it for the government to be able to give it to the traders. So we criticize her for that. Okay. But the NDC labeled her as a thief. A woman who has been the same defense. No, the same defense.
Your 3 points.
The same defense that they are giving today. That Sami Jamfi was an entrepreneur before joining politics and so on. All these. We said this woman is 70 years. She has been an MP.
You know for sure?
Yes, she was 70. Yeah. Yes, at that time she was 70.
I thought you were talking about Grada.
No, I'm talking about Cecilia. Yes, at that time she was 70. She had worked in Ghana and abroad for over 45 years of her entire life. She had been an MP for Bantama for 12 years. She had been a minister for 12 years. She said she hoarded that amount of money in her room.
Right.
And that was the wrong thing.
Okay.
But they said the woman couldn't have afforded, even though there was no money missing.
Yeah.
So that is why today it has
let's
become
listen
an
to
issue.
Dixon as well. Maybe he would. I'm not sure you will agree with him, but it's your take now.
Surely, I don't want to equalize, but you can't compare the Cecilia Dapa's issue to what happened last Saturday. Surely, you admit, you can't compare the two. You can't compare Kensidi Nyakun's case.
Why can't he compare?
Because of the amount involved. And in Sami Jamfi's case, let's look at the circumstance in which he found himself. He was talking about the currency, the dollar, and all those things. Let us be very honest that how many of us do not have dollars or foreign currencies, especially if you're a regular traveler. I returned from US, I came, the few dollars left, I will keep with the view that maybe the next few weeks, months, there might be emergency trip you have to make, you have to go back, change. And sometimes when you are hard pressed and you don't have Cedi on you, and I can say confidently, based on my sources very close to Sami Jamfi, that he wouldn't have doled out dollars if he had Cedis at that particular instance. He had been at several social gatherings, several funerals, and when
my apologies. Let me interject.
When he was hard,
let me interject.
I wish you hear him out and then we come in.
Just a bit, because of what you said. Yeah. Why was Sami Jamfi, moving around carrying dollars only?
I cannot tell, but as I said, Ben, I'm sure you have dollars, don't you?
I don't.
You don't?
Yeah, I don't. Myself, I don't.
Why you don't?
I don't have dollars.
Right. What I'm saying is, any regular traveler, but at a point in time you may have.
Yes, like you said,
exactly.
Travel and all that.
Exactly. Not when you are traveling alone. When you are a regular traveler. In fact, when you are a regular traveler, the country you frequently travels to, when you go, sometimes you come, I go to Germany with some euros, you come and you have few hundreds of euros, you wouldn't change. But what I want to emphasize here is that the situations are totally different. And one, Sami Jamfi has already apologized for his indiscretion. And two, Ben, you know Sami Jamfi, you are a lawyer. And when it comes,
I'm a student of law.
Student of law. And in situations like this, you look for repeated offenders. Is Sami Jamfi noted for this kind of behavior? Has he been demonstrating opulence, obscene wealth? Has he been arrogant publicly? This is the first time this has happened to the young man. And he has apologized for his indiscretion. The chief of staff has summoned him. He has appeared. Let us hold our brief and wait for what the government says. For me, the Sami Gyamfi I know, the Sami Gyamfi I've been working with for over 16 good years. It's not the kind of person people are portraying in the public as being arrogant, showing opulence, and showing obscene. I mean, he is not the kind of person we are talking about. So, like many of us have been advocating, we asking for the authorities to temper justice with mercy, especially when he has apologized already. And Ben, this is a lesson to all of us. As he indicated, how many of us have not given money publicly? If you go to any event, before you leave, you have people coming to you asking for money. The difference is probably you were not caught in camera.
That's true.
On camera, and your incident or whatever happened had not been going viral.
I see Awal nodding and acknowledging.
This is what not only politicians, public figures have been doing.
Even yourself, you meet people and they ask
a lesson
you,
to all of us. That is why we are saying the optics, not good for the party, not good for us as a country. But he has admitted his indiscretion, has apologized profusely, he's shown deep remorse. Chief of Staff has called to have a word with him. Let us wait. But I believe that he deserves a second chance. This is not an incident that should cost Sami Gyamfi his job.
Okay,
Then let us admit the excellent job the young man has done. In the last few months, he was appointed as acting chief executive of Gold Board. The swiftness his team put the bill. I was in Parliament when he came to Parliament to defend the bill, the passage. And if you look at the first quarter of the year, how good has been performing, I think we should take all these into considerations. And as a first-time offender, let us temper justice with mercy, move on. And I know not only Sami Gyamfi, but all of us will learn lessons from this incident.
So, Dixon, there are a few things I'd like to point out. And rightly so, both of you mentioned. For me, I don't know about you, sweetie, but there are times where even in church, sometimes I go down after the show and you meet someone, because they see you on TV, they know you. They may come, and if I can afford to, I may. The difference is I'm not a public official. I work for the state, I work for the interest of the country, but I don't hold public office, right? Sure. And it's the signaling, okay? The people you've mentioned this morning, Professor Nyako, Kingsley Nyako, now Professor Nyako. I remember back then when this issue came up, my heart bled for him because he's someone I am pretty close to, okay? But we had to deal with the issues as they were, because what is what is. And you mentioned, again, the context. I mean, that's totally different. In an election, I'm getting there. In an electoral setting, it's totally different.
Yes.
The optics looked very bad.
See, my problem
you mentioned, you had your time to speak. You mentioned Cecilia Dapa. In Cecilia Dapa's instance, we'll not get too much into it, but you mentioned she had $1 million. You know, that was what was taken, not that was what was at home. So just clarify for...
what I'm saying is that she had $1 million in the house, which is no at that time when the Cedi was depreciated. She
did not have $1 million. What had been
taken away. Yes.
That's all I'm trying.
Exactly. So, but you see, at that time, some of us were saying that she could afford the $1 million because no money is missing. The OSP went and looked into it and said that indeed she has not stolen any monies. But she was branded a thief in this country. Right. That's why I'm saying that this one wouldn't have been a problem. If you know Sami Gyamfi very well, I have known him closely. We almost grew up together in Kumasi.
What kind of person is he?
He's someone who will always give when he has it and so on. But you see, the problem has to do with the fact that how you overstretch it when yesterday someone was seen giving out money. That is the reason today it has become an issue. And the dollar, as I said, because at a point in time when everyone is saying that push a dollar to the banks and so on, and he's holding the dollar as a currency, which is not supposed to be so. And that is only the issue.
Point made. Dixon, you must also note that, like we are all saying, it's not about being generous. It's not about being kind. All of us sitting here have had opportunity to be kind to other people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And others have also been kind to us in some instance.
Yeah.
When you hold public office, there are certain fine ropes you have to walk. And interestingly, we have the code of conduct, very recent, that the president brought forth. And in there, you talk about ostentatiousness and all of that. So those are some of the concerns about Ghanaians when it comes to this. No one is trying to say he's a bad person.
Yeah. And Benjamin,
his head must roll.
No,
but these are optics. You rightly said, lessons must be learned, and we must move on.
And Benjamin, that's why he has apologized himself, and I think he deserves another chance.
Well, we'll leave the president. We'll leave the president to
that a while and his people are playing politics.
No, I didn't say he should be.
He's admitted.
I didn't say he should be sacked because of that.
Benjamin, in
I think Awal has been pretty. He's been pretty balanced.
You look at the action and the intention. Was the intention to show off? No.
Someone just took a camera and followed them.
That's why I'm saying it's a lesson we should all learn, because it can happen to any one of us.
Let's get into the stories.
Yeah, just to end this conversation, my dad used to say something about Abunsama Lachiafi do now.
What's the meaning of that?
It means the devil doesn't bathe before coming out. You're doing something and you think, oh, wait there, nothing, will happen.
Yes.
The devil will not wait and say, let me bathe, and no, it just happens like that. So you have to be minded, be guided, don't be misfortunate. All right, so in the middle page, I just want to rush through the remaining headlines and the Daily Graphic, and then we can go on to other stories. President Mahama calls for unity to tackle Africa's debt crisis. And just a bit of details in there. President John Dramani Mahama has called for a unified or united Africa to enable the continent address its escalating debt crisis, adding that unsustainable borrowing risks undermining development gains and sovereignty. And GSS launches survey to track jobs, food security, establishment of second gas processing plant, committee set up to oversee project. And I think I've already done a story on the back page about the First Lady. That will be it for me for the Daily Graphic. You can reflect on one story each, and then we move on to other newspapers. Awal, want to start?
Yes, I think the debt in almost all the African countries are unsustainable, looking at how we always tend to borrow. One thing that we started, I'm talking about the Akufo-Addo government, is the industrialization, the one district, one factory. When you do one district, one factory, it means you do some import substitute companies so that you will not really import some of the commodities you may be able to really produce within the country, and the agric program, that is the planting for food and jobs. So if you do all these things, you may not really import a lot of the things. So there is the highest possibility that you may have your own monies within the system, so that you will not be, your currency will not depreciate. You will not also go and borrow again to put into some ventures and so on, because you will be able to generate a lot of revenue from internally. So that is...
It's only unfortunate, no, sorry, it's just unfortunate that we didn't see all these things materialize, although you started it, like you said. Yeah,
you see, government is a continuous process. That's the reason when they brought in the 24-hour economy, we felt that the 24-hour economy is going to continue the industrialization. You remember what they said, that if you are even a welder, if you are producing anything in this country and you need, you hook onto the 24-hour economy, you even get cheaper electricity. What have we seen? First quarter, 14.7%. Last year, we did 6.4%. This is not friendly to the businesses in the country, because if first quarter you're doing 14%, and the whole year of last year, we did 6.4%. So I'm looking at ending of the year. How much are we supposed to pay on these things? So it doesn't help with the industrialization. You came with a banner of 24-hour economy, where you'll be able to really produce a lot of things within the country. You give cheaper electricity and so on. So what I'm saying is that the debts that we have in this country, it will only be sustainable when we are able to generate a lot of resources from within.
Okay. Thank you. Listen.
I will talk about the government's decision to put up another gas plant, which is going to help boost our energy security drive. You know, government are spending a lot on other fuels, fossil fuel, diesel, in order to power our generators. And under President Mahama, President Atamil's Ghana Gas company came into existence, and it helped sustain our energy at that level. You know, the cost of gas is cheaper compared to the diesel and the other heavy fuel. So government's decision to explore ways of having another gas plant will go a long way to enhance our energy security. And I think it is an issue worth talking about.
Thank you. So that's the establishment of second gas processing plant, and the committee has been set up to oversee that project. Benjamin, you want to take that Ghanaian Times while I distribute these?
All right, so let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Father jailed 10 years for impregnating 15-year-old daughter. There's also biotechnology misconception, disincentive to food security. That's according to Professor Asari. There's still that story about the Times needy fund for Agnes Owusu. She has a tumor in her head. If you'd like to donate, grab a copy of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. If you're swift enough, I'll mention the account number at the UBA, Kaneshi Industrial Area Branch. It is 001 030 687 01511. That is 001 030 687 01511. I've always highlighted this whenever it comes into the papers. It's been told that you will never know. So let's help her. At AU Debt Summit, Free Africa of Debt Crisis. That's according to President Mahama. Then you go on the back page. TIL rejects withdrawal of members from varsity governing councils. And GSS, that is the Ghana Statistical Service, conducts qualification and skills mismatch survey in June under its new leadership, of course. Let's get into those stories very quickly. I'll start from page 12. From page 12, let me quickly get there. There we are. President John Dramani Mahama is urging a new public debt management strategy to free African countries from what has become a debt crisis on the continent. He said debt must not lead to crisis, but serve as a worthy fuel to accelerate development of a continent with a debt service obligation of over $90 billion last year alone. Addressing the opening session of the African Union Debt Summit in Lomé, Togo yesterday, President Mahama said Africa had to adopt a three-pronged approach if the continent was to unlock debt as a tool for development. Editor of the Ghanaian Times. Not three-pronged approach. So that's the issue there, the debt stock on the continent of Africa. Then on page 3, the Circuit Court at Toko in the Ketu South municipality has sentenced a 36-year-old father to 10 years imprisonment with hard labor for impregnating his own daughter. The convicts, Koche Ziga, an electrician residing at the Adote Kope, a suburb of Aflao, or Adote Kope, a suburb of Aflao, defiled his 15-year-old daughter, resulting in the pregnancy. That's a rather sad, very sad development there. And court asked to dismiss suit against former governor of the Bank of Ghana. So the Bank of Ghana is asking the Accra High Court to dismiss a suit filed against the former governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, and the bank over management of the Ghana Cedi. The Bank of Ghana is the first defendant in the case that wants the court to throw out the suit because it failed to disclose any reasonable cause of action. Gentlemen, any quick thoughts? I'll start with you, Awal. Any thoughts on these?
Yes, I think I touched about the debt. And,
indeed, we've taken a look at that.
Exactly. And which other story again? Because
there's the father who has 36-year-old, 15-year-old daughter.
This is really yes. You see, but you see, as Muslims, we are not supposed to even sleep with your 9-year-old daughter in the same room. It's something that is injuncted that you're not supposed to even sleep. For instance, even if there is divorce, you're not supposed to keep your daughter with you. She's supposed to be with the mother. If the mother...
Injuncted by whom, though? There are single parents who are men. Are you speaking law or are you speaking...
No, I'm saying that Muslims. I'm saying Muslims. I'm saying Muslims.
So in Islamic practice?
Yes, in Islamic practice, a Muslim is not supposed to sleep with his 8-year. If she's below 8 years, that's fine. But if it's above 8 years, 9 years, you're not supposed to sleep in the same room with her. She's supposed to sleep in a separate room. If you are a single parent, you cannot raise a daughter It's also known
as a man.
As a man, you can't raise a daughter. So when you check these stories, you will see that maybe she has visited him in the room, because I've seen numerous stories like this where she will go for holidays and so on with the person and so on. So I think these are things that we'll have to check. The daughters are not supposed to be visiting their parents, especially when he's alone in the room and he's supposed to sleep there alone, because there are a lot of features that the girl may have. I don't see anything attractive to even my sister, not to talk about my daughter. But you see, these are things that usually happen because over time she'll go and bath, just enter the same room with the person, will be changing and so on. Some men may be possessed and be able to do these things. So I think the best thing is that we'll have to avoid these girls visiting their fathers and be sleeping over in the same rooms.
Right. You know the kind of world we live in, if a girl child has to be afraid of sleeping in the same room with her father. I am just shook. Not just, but hearing you say these things, I think this is fundamentally something broken and wrong in the mind or in the whole formation of this man or men who do these things. Yeah. That's your daughter.
Yeah.
Please, let me not take the...
before you come in, there's also this bit about, traditionally, even in the traditional setting, we try not to you can bathe your daughter and all of that, but up to a certain age, you stop.
Exactly.
You stop. But I also know fathers, many good fathers out there who have single-handedly raised their children.
Exactly.
And, I mean, like Sweetie said, sometimes there's something broken. And we get here. But I know so many excellent fathers who have been single fathers and done this without problem. I don't know, but...
sure.
I don't know
Benjamin, it is about the decay of the moral fiber of the society. Right. I mean, what will be so attractive about a 15-year-old girl to the dad? I mean, this is unheard of. And I think the sanctions regimes would have to be looked at. 10 years in jail, I don't think it's enough for offenders like this. People have even been proposing for castrations and probably higher sanctions to serve as deterrent.
The prison system is also to reform and not necessarily just...
But the life of the child has been completely taken away.
Yes, that's true.
You can imagine,
the story, it says, the prosecution says the victim consumed a non-alcoholic beverage. This was on the man's birthday. The prosecution said the victim consumed a non-alcoholic beverage, which the convict gave to her while observing his birthday. She dozed off moments later. According to the prosecution, the victim, after waking up, found dried whitish fluid substance on her lap and in her pants, which she showed to Ziga, her father, who declined to make any comment or pass.
So it was well orchestrated, well planned, spiked the drink with the view of engaging in this act. So this is a deliberate act that should be frowned upon by all well-meaning Ghanaians, and our judiciary should be clamping down on conduct like this with harsher sentencing, probably 25 years, 20 years to serve as a deterrent. So I am not amused about the 10-year jail handed over to...
Maybe also
what is interesting though
of alcohol,
sometimes you see, if you look at sequence of events, if you look at sequence of events, it means it was well planned.
Yeah, that's true. For him to give her some drinks, after that she dozed off. After dozing off, she woke up and saw these.
That's just evil.
So it was actually the man. The story says his birthday here, but I think it was the girl's birthday. And he did that.
She's going to carry that trauma every birthday. She's going to remember this.
And now the stigma too, because at least all the people around the area, they know that indeed your father had done this and so on. Yes. The stigma is even too much for her.
I mean, it's something, unfortunately, she would have to live with. The other angle I want to look at, when these things happen to people, the sort of therapy we give them post these actions, because these are extremely traumatic.
Yeah.
the impact, like you said, in your community sometimes, and unfortunately there are people who are not so sensitive. Sometimes people even point to you and say, this is the one that out there in the open.
Yes.
You can imagine.
So apart from the girl, the child too.
Yes.
So that's why we need the social.
We don't know whether she's.
That's why the social welfare needs to be given a lot of resources to be able to do these things, because they need some psychologists within the social welfare, within the districts, so that if certain things like this happen, they will be able to really give them some therapy.
So it was a case of defilement filed. I just wanted to point, sometimes when we see these and say, but I don't think 10 years or 20 years is enough.
But it is also
the judge can only operate within what the law states he can operate within in terms of penal.
Defilement 1, incest 2.
Yes.
In this
defilement is even up to 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
If anyone has information about where I can locate this girl, please reach out. I think Girl Gets Up Africa would like to take this up, help her, get her all the psychological help she needs. I'm visibly shaken just hearing these things.
I think when you
happen.
talk to...
So if anyone knows how we can locate this girl, please get in touch with us, Girl Gets Up Africa, across all social media platforms, or call Joy News. I'm right here, and then we can see how we can help this girl out. Thank you.
Well, the last bit I'll do, Ghana's development is a shared responsibility. That's according to the NCCI chairperson, Ms. Kathleen Addy. And she has made mention of the fact that Ms. Janet Iya Obido, an assistant civic education officer with the KJB District Directorate of the National Commission for Civic Education, has called on the citizenry to participate fully in Ghana's development. She emphasized that development was a shared responsibility, and that's the last bit there. We do know it's a shared responsibility, but sometimes we act like it's only for a different category of people. If you have any thoughts on those, you can share them. If not, we go to other papers.
The overseer, Mohammed.
So the overseer, adjust prices with immediate effect, Guta to traders as Cedi gains strength. Then Shatawale and others testify to Sami Jemfi's generosity. Cosmos Energy pledges $2 billion investment in Ghana's petroleum sector. Minority doubling in opportunistic politics. Kwachi Ofosu. Linda Okulo threatens dismissal of appointees over rejected MMDC nominees. Interesting stories. But I will take this one. The adjust prices with immediate effect. Guta urges traders. I think that is true. I remember in 2023, after we went through turbulent times in 2022, the Cedi and the Cedi got to 16 cities. We launched the Gold for Oil and the Gold for Reserve program in February 2023. Just within months, you had fuel prices dropping from 23 cedis per liter in December 2023 to around 15, 14 cedis per liter. So at that point in time, they called on their members to reduce, but they were not able to reduce. What I think the government will be able to do right now is for them to reduce fuel prices drastically. The reason being that if you check what drives the prices of fuel is the forex, the cost of storage, taxes, and the world market price. Now, world market price is down. Now we have a lot of, because even if they bought it at 15 last month they bought it at 15 when it was around 14.6, because usually they peg it way above the market price. Today, it's 13.2. And when you check the difference, it's huge. So if government is able to do this, it will trickle down to every Ghanaian. Looking at the fact that fuel prices will come down, then the trotros will also be forced to also reduce their prices. So government will have to take the lead by reducing the prices of petroleum prices drastically. It's still around 12.99. That's what I see in the petrol. Some even sell it at 13 cedis and so on. We left it around 13.9 and 14. So within this period, if really we want to see the impact of the Cedi and the dollar, then we should see it in the adjustment of prices of petrol prices in this country, so that before the Guta people, because Guta will tell you that, well, we have old stock, we'll have to sell it and so on. But the immediate effect will be felt if government is able to reduce the fuel prices drastically, so that Ghanaians will be able to enjoy.
Drastically, what are you talking about?
Yes, I want it to come down, because you see, everyone...
we all know that it doesn't happen immediately.
It happens because
the appreciation...
The fuel prices, the importers import around $400 million every month. And they import it monthly. The cedi equivalent, when it was 15 cedis, was around 6 billion. Today, the cedi equivalent is around 15 billion, 600 million shortfall, which can be rolled out to the Ghanaian. That's very important. That's the reason I'm saying that. We should be having around 11 cedis, 10 cedis, 11 cedis per liter.
Okay.
How come you couldn't manage that, though?
Yes, because you see, if you look at the amount of money, that the windfall that they have right now.
You're talking windfalls?
Yes, yes, because 2 months ago, they were importing at 15 cedis per liter, $15 cedis per dollar. Today, it's around 13.2. So 13.2, if you look at the gap, it's around close to 2 cedis. So that's the reason I'm saying that. The government can adjust this so that we all can benefit for now before Guta comes in.
All right. I don't want to belabor that point, so you let's
make tracks. Yeah, you're entitled to your opinions and how you think they should run this country at this moment. So it's okay.
Would you like to look at your paper?
The New Republic government kicks off $400 million second gas plant, and I have talked about that already.
Yeah.
That's going to be a game changer and help boost our energy security. Mahama's generosity praised by Health Alliance, Ghana's iconic Nzulezu village under threat of collapse, an MPP in trouble as social media turns red. I want to touch briefly about that particular one. It is about the research report by... I
was thinking you talk about Nzulezu when we are losing a lot of revenue.
Briefly. Let me touch briefly on this one.
Yes, go ahead.
By Musa Dankwa, whose recent report indicates that MPP continues to lose grounds in their hitherto strongholds, and NDC is gaining grounds a lot. And the recent report indicates that they've lost from 36% to 32%. And if it continues along this path, 2028 elections is going to be very difficult for them. My concern here is that we as members of NDC should not be complacent about these reports, because in 2016, just 8 years ago, MPP was having overwhelming majority in parliament. 4 years later, it was parity. And another 4 years down the lane, now they're struggling to get even 88. So it can happen to us. We should not be complacent about the gains we are making now. We need to consolidate, work, and implement the policies we promise in our manifesto. Make the life of ordinary Ghanaians as easy as possible, so that in 2028 it wouldn't be difficult. So me, I'm not flattered by these reports. We need to get down and work very hard. With the hindsight that if you don't, the tide can change.
Because the Ghanaian is wise now.
Any quick comments on that? I still have a paper each to just give you headlines.
This is normal. This is normal in the sense that when you go to an elections, and after the elections, the ratings usually come down. You have a lot of people, especially within your strongholds, inching closer to the government in power so that they get jobs, especially the youth and so on.
That's also a reality.
Yes, so it's normal for you to see a political party like this. Usually, I don't know how Musa Dankwa does his research. He will be quick in judging these things, because you see, the questions that you put out are the answers you will get. For instance, if you go to Ashanti region today, you may find people who are die-hard MPP who will still tell you, I am MPP. But people who are not very political, they may have voted for MPP, but today they need jobs. They want to align with the NDC. Initially in Ashanti region, you hardly see people wearing NDC t-shirts moving around. But today, if you go to Ashanti region, you see people wearing it and moving around and so on. So it's normal. We are doing restructuring. In July, we're going to conference to amend our constitution so that we can expand.
Okay, so thank you. We have to move the conversation forward. But I don't know whether you're questioning his methodology. Some members of your party did that ahead of the past elections, and he was proven right.
He was almost,
But Sweetie, any other stories to leave us with?
Yeah, just the headlines from this paper, The Citizen. It says, Ghana's gold reserves hit 46 billion cedis in April 2025. Banks fire 155 staff for theft, according to Bank of Ghana report. And there's a story here, interesting. I just started reading it. It says there's a rot at police headquarters, IGP Yohunu fingered. That's just a headline. I'll read it, and then if it's important, I would share my thoughts with you later. But that's it for my
In the Economy Times, blooming economy, boosted investor confidence, Mahama extolled amidst call to sustain gains. It also says Cedi rebounds from world's worst to best performing currency. That's the Economy Times. And then Ghana to lose out on oil revenue for 2025 as global forecast price falls below $65 per barrel. Let me celebrate a few people very quickly this morning. Happy birthday to the CEO of Fitness for Life, Dansoman, Tunga Children's Park, Abu. May God continue to bless you abundantly and grant you many more fruitful years ahead. With love from your family and all the Fitness for Life members, we celebrate you and appreciate all you do. We love you. So, Abu, we celebrate you on this special day. I'd also like to celebrate Alice Erekwa Amofa. Alice Erekwa Amofa. Today happens to be your birthday. You're doing a wonderful job with your little one who is fast growing. May God richly bless you for all that you do. And so those are the ones we're celebrating today. I don't know whether you have
one that is belated. Belated happy birthday to Mary Ada of Ghana Integrity Initiative. Happy belated birthday, or belated happy birthday, madam. We appreciate you and we wish you the very best in this new chapter. I came in actually through James yesterday, but I missed it. Happy birthday, madam. That's it from my end as well. And I think that's how we're wrapping up the news review segment. And those who joined us for this conversation, Awal Mohammed, he's from the NPP Communication Directorate, and Dixon Chredria is Member of Parliament for Brekum West. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a borrowed seat.
You can stay. We'll serve you sports, and after that, our big stories and so many more coming your way on the EM show. We'll be right back. Who are you working with?